In the darkest corner of the Pacific Ocean, 900 meters below the surface, where sunlight has not touched in millennia, something moves through absolute blackness. A camera suspended in the void captures nothing but endless night, its red light barely penetrating the crushing pressure. Then, without warning, a shape materializes from the emptiness. Two massive eyes, each the size of a dinner plate, reflect back at the lens like alien moons. Tentacles longer than a city bus unfurl from the shadows, covered in serrated rings that glisten like rows of teeth. The creature strikes, wrapping around the camera with impossible speed. For 18 breathtaking minutes, scientists aboard a research vessel watch their screens in stunned silence as one of Earth's most mysterious predators attacks their equipment. This is Archaeoteuthis dux, the giant squid. And after centuries of myth and maritime legend, humanity has finally come face to face with the Kraken. The giant squid is not a relic of folklore. It is real. It is hunting in our oceans right now, and everything we thought we knew about it was wrong. For most of human history, this creature existed only in the nightmares of sailors and the fragmented bodies that occasionally washed onto beaches like messages from another world. Ancient mariners whispered of tentacled leviathans capable of dragging entire ships beneath the waves, monsters so vast they were mistaken for islands rising from the sea. Norse legends spoke of the Kraken, a beast that could create whirlpools powerful enough to swallow Viking longships whole. These weren't just stories told around fires to frighten children. They were attempts by our ancestors to explain glimpses of something genuinely alien living in the deep. The Kraken myth emerged from the cold waters between Norway and Iceland in the 13th century, first documented in Icelandic sagas that described creatures called hafgufa, or sea mist. In 1752, Norwegian bishop Erid Pontoppidan published detailed descriptions based on fishermen's accounts, cementing the Kraken as a tentacled colossus of the deep. For centuries, Western science dismissed these tales as superstition, the fevered imaginations of men driven mad at isolation at sea. But the fishermen weren't lying. They had seen something massive moving beneath their boats, something that occasionally left behind severed tentacles the length of a grown man, arms thick as tree trunks lined with suction cups ringed in chitinous teeth. The myths weren't exaggerations. They were understatements. The first scientific confirmation came in 1853 when a carcass washed ashore in Denmark. Norwegian naturalist Japetus Strenstrup examined the creature's beak, a structure so enormous and sharp it could slice through steel cable, and realized that the legends were real. He named it Archaeoteuthis dux, declaring to a skeptical scientific community that there was indeed a giant lurking in the ocean's depths. But even with a name and specimens preserved in museums, the giant squid remained ghost-like, a creature known only through death. No one had ever seen one alive in its natural habitat. No one knew how it hunted, how it moved, or whether the terrifying descriptions from sailors held any truth. For another 160 years, the giant squid existed in a liminal space between myth and reality, more absent than present, more idea than animal. To understand why the giant squid remained hidden for so long, you must first understand the world it inhabits and why that world remains one of the least explored places on our entire planet. The deep ocean is not merely unknown, it is fundamentally hostile to human exploration in ways that make the surface of Mars seem accessible by comparison. The ocean covers over 70% of Earth's surface, yet more than 75% of the seafloor remains unmapped in high resolution. We have created detailed maps of Mars, Venus, and the Moon using satellites and orbiters, but those same technologies cannot penetrate seawater. Light does not penetrate through seawater beyond the first few hundred feet, making satellite imaging and conventional mapping impossible. Instead, scientists must rely on sonar systems deployed from ships, a process so slow and expensive that mapping the entire ocean floor at high resolution would take centuries with current technology. The statistics are staggering and humbling. More than 80% of the ocean has not been mapped, explored, or even seen by humans. To put this in perspective, Mars has now been 99% imaged in high resolution by the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, while our own ocean floor remains largely a mystery. In 2023, NASA's budget was over $25 billion, while NOAA's budget for ocean exploration barely approached $600 million. The disparity reveals a harsh truth. We have prioritized exploring alien worlds millions of miles away over understanding the alien world that covers most of our own planet. The deep ocean is not a distant frontier. It is right here, beneath our feet, yet it remains profoundly inaccessible. The challenges facing deep-sea researchers are not merely financial. They are physical, technological, and in many ways more extreme than the challenges of space exploration. At a depth of 4,000 meters, the pressure is over 1,000 times greater than at the surface. Near Guam, 36,000 feet beneath the surface of the ocean in the Mariana Trench, the pressure from the water is 8 tons per square inch, about 1,000 times the standard atmospheric pressure at sea level. To put this in visceral terms, that is the equivalent of 100 adult elephants standing on a person's head. Any submarine, camera, or piece of equipment sent into these depths must be engineered to withstand forces that would instantly crush conventional machinery. The titanium hulls, specialized foams, and pressure-resistant materials required for deep-sea exploration are among the most advanced engineering solutions humanity has ever developed. Communication presents another seemingly insurmountable barrier. Radio waves, satellite navigation, Wi-Fi, and GPS won't work underwater. The electromagnetic spectrum that makes modern communication possible on land and space becomes useless beneath the waves. Scientists must rely on acoustic communication, using sound waves that travel slowly through water and are easily distorted by ocean conditions, temperature gradients, and underwater topography. Real-time video transmissions, something we take for granted in space exploration, becomes extraordinarily difficult in the deep ocean. Recent breakthroughs in underwater communication using blue and green lasers have increased data transmission rates by 1,000 times compared to traditional methods. But even these advances require the transmitter and receiver to be relatively close together and in direct line of sight, a rare condition in the chaotic, murky depths. Perhaps most challenging of all is the sheer scale of what must be explored. The deep ocean, below 1,000 meters, is the largest habitat on Earth, containing 90% of the planet's living space. It is a wilderness so vast that searching for a creature like the giant squid becomes an exercise in statistical impossibility. Imagine trying to find a single school bus by randomly searching the entire surface area of Asia and Africa combined, but in 3 dimensions, in complete darkness, under crushing pressure, with limited battery power and communication systems that barely function. This is the reality facing scientists who hunt for giant squid. Every expedition is a gamble, every camera deployment a shot in the dark, every sighting a minor miracle. The technology required to overcome these challenges has improved dramatically in recent decades, but it remains extraordinarily expensive and limited in availability. In March 2012, filmmaker James Cameron piloted the Deep-Sea Challenger submarine to the bottom of the Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench, reaching a depth of 10,908 meters. The dive represented a triumph of engineering, using specialized syntactic foam for buoyancy, pressure-resistant battery systems, and a pilot sphere capable of protecting Cameron from pressures exceeding 8 tons per square inch. The submarine took 2 hours and 36 minutes to descend and could explore the bottom for 6 hours before returning to the surface. Yet even with this remarkable achievement, Cameron's expedition highlighted the limitations of current technology. Several pieces of equipment failed under pressure, including 2 of 3 starboard thrusters, the sonar system, and the compass. The deep ocean is so hostile that even the most advanced human engineering struggles to function reliably. For marine biologists studying creatures like the giant squid, these limitations are not abstract problems. They are daily frustrations that determine what questions can be answered and which mysteries must remain unsolved. Traditional research vessels equipped with deep-sea sonar and submarines cost hundreds of thousands of dollars per day to operate. Survey results revealed that the most important challenges worldwide are funding, access to vessels, and human capacity. Most countries lack the resources to conduct deep-sea research within their own territorial waters, creating a global inequality where the exploration and research of the ocean is dominated by a handful of wealthy nations. The result is that exploration and research agendas are shaped by those from high-resource countries or regions, leaving vast regions of the ocean completely unstudied. The giant squid exists in this unexplored wilderness, and understanding why it remained hidden for so long requires understanding the magnitude of the challenge facing scientists. Deep-sea systems are expected to work consistently and reliably for thousands of hours without maintenance support, in an environment where corrosion, biofouling, sensor drift, and electronic component malfunctioning are constant threats. Periodic in-situ calibration from ships may be practical and economically challenging due to the remote measurement locations and large depths. Camera systems lose battery power, sensors malfunction, communication systems fail, and all of this happens in an environment where retrieving and repairing equipment might require weeks of ship time and hundreds of thousands of dollars in operational costs.